Our top story, if you're vaccinated, you can take off the mask. The CDC released new guidelines today saying in all but the most crowded places, fully vaccinated people don't need to wear a mask inside or outside. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rich Pierce. Now you'll still need to wear a mask on airplanes and buses and in places like hospitals and prisons. But the CDC says vaccinated people don't need to wear a mask in crowds outside. It's a big move to send the country back toward pre-pandemic life.
If you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing the things that you had stopped doing because of the pandemic. We have all longed for this moment when we can get back to some sense of normalcy.
To date, more than 117 million Americans are vaccinated. COVID deaths are at the lowest point since April of 2020. Today, Governor Mike DeWine said Ohio will become the latest state to duck out of the federal pandemic unemployment assistance program starting June 26th. He said the federal assistance is discouraging people from going back to work.
This isn't just about restaurants or retail establishments. I'm hearing similar concerns in manufacturing and in the commercial industries. It's having a real impact on Ohio's ability to fully recover.
Early in the pandemic, $600 was given to people per week on top of normal unemployment. It was eventually reduced to $300 per week. DeWine said it was a lifeline at a time when we only had defensive weapons. Now he says there is a tool to combat the virus in the form of the vaccine. Yesterday, Governor DeWine announced lotteries for Ohioans who get vaccinated. 5 teens will win college scholarships. 5 adults will get $1 million. We spoke with Ohio's 96th District Representative Ron Ferguson. He called the lottery incentive appalling.
Whoever came up with the idea, it was really poor advice. Like I was mentioning, I talked to Democrats and Republicans in the state legislature. Nobody is for this. Using taxpayer money to just give away a freebie and turn tax money into a game show. There's so many things we could be doing in Jefferson, Belmont, Monroe County, people that have been hurt and affected by this pandemic, whether it's people that lost their jobs or their businesses, their houses. So many things we could be doing with it, and we're just going to give the money away. If we're going to give it away to anybody, give it back to the taxpayers. It's their money in the first place.
While many point to low wages and unemployment benefits slowing the return to work, there may be another issue keeping people home. Child care. News 9's Jamie Baker has more.
Here in Ohio County, there aren't many options when it comes to daycares, and that's becoming a big issue for parents who want to return to work.
You've got child care needs so that you can come to work and continue your profession. Working at home is still difficult if you've got an infant or if you've got a child or a toddler.
Crittenton Services in Wheeling has a lot of open positions to fill right now. A reason some can't come back to work? No child care. At King's Daughters Child Care Center, the number of children has almost doubled in recent years.
We're almost at 70 children. We've been at capacity for a long time. Our wait list is over 150 children.
Executive Director Jamie Remp says the wait lists are similar at other daycares in the county. With parents going back to work, the need continues to grow, but the availability does not. Remp says there's a few reasons for that. State regulations are tough, but even worse is funding.
There's a lot of regulations involved, and the money is very difficult. We're a nonprofit. Our operating expenses are completely covered by fees and what we raise here at the center. So it is not funded through the state of West Virginia at all.
Remp says she's worked closely with State Delegate Erica Storch over the last few months. Storch understands the need. She drafted a study resolution that passed last legislative session.
There's a work group that will be dedicated to looking during the interim time period to looking closer at daycare issues so that we can make sure that we can accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
Remp says daycare directors around the state will continue to fight for funding from the state in the hopes to somehow catch up to the need most are seeing throughout West Virginia.
Ohio County Commission and the City of Wheeling needs to realize we can't grow the city without quality child care. You just can't open one within a matter of a couple months.
In Ohio County, I'm Jamie Baker for News 9.
Breaking news tonight from Providence, Rhode Island, where police say 9 people were shot in a mass shooting. In a news briefing, police said an assailant pulled up in a car and began firing toward a home. People at that home then returned fire. The chief said 4 or 5 different guns were involved. Both groups know each other, and this is an ongoing feud with no threat to the general public.
We don't shy away from the fact that we have a gun issue in this city. It's unfortunate that young men in this community have no regard for life at times.
Police said 3 people suffered serious injuries while the others suffered minor injuries. The chief said he believes this is the most victims they've ever had in a single shooting. He estimates several dozen rounds were fired between the groups. A former volunteer fire chief will avoid jail time following a plea deal. Kevin Crow was charged with embezzlement and 27 counts of unauthorized use of an access device. Today, he only pleaded guilty to 1 charge, admitting to using a credit card meant for the Boggs Run Volunteer Fire Department to fuel up his personal vehicle. Crow will be on home confinement when he's not at work and will be under supervised probation for a year. If he violates any terms, he'll face 3 years in a corrections center.
Got a little more of a break than some. I understand you're gainfully employed, and a felony conviction at this point would end your employment. The court also notes that you've made full restitution in the amount of $7,200. That aided your cause as far as my acceptance of this plea.
The $7,200 will go to the Marshall County Commission since the Boggs Run VFD is now defunct. A priest who once taught at Catholic Central High School in Steubenville is now the subject of a sexual abuse case in Hartford, Connecticut, and an advocacy group is requesting documents from the Steubenville Diocese. A victim alleges he was abused more than 100 times by Reverend Kenneth Bonadies, and his attorney believes there may be local victims as well.
We are here today outside the Diocese of Steubenville, Ohio, to demand of Bishop Montfort that he release the secret files and all other files relative to the priesthood and ministry and assignments of Father Kenneth Bonadies.
The Diocese of Steubenville issued a response saying in part there have been no credible accusations against Bonadies within the diocese. You can read their complete statement at WTOV9.com. Still ahead on News 9 tonight, it's not just the cost of homes going up, but the cost of home improvement as well. What we've learned about skyrocketing prices.
And after another chilly night tonight, our temperatures will start to climb upwards, and we can even get above average for our temperatures looking into next week. I'll let you know how warm that is with your forecast coming up.
You are watching News 9 Tonight with Rich Pierce, Kate Davison, and meteorologist Nathan Shutt. This is News 9 Tonight. Here's a live look at the Highlands from the lens of Tower Cam 9 atop the Robinson Auto Group.
The Belmont County Animal Shelter is seeing a large number of animal surrenders in the midst of the pandemic. News 9's Kate Davison reports.
Over the past 3 weeks, staff here at the Belmont County Animal Shelter say they've seen a major uptick in pet surrenders, a lot of it having to do with financial hardships. The Belmont County Animal Shelter had just 18 dogs at the facility in mid-April.
Past 3 weeks, it's just like boom.
Dog warden Lisa Williams says canine numbers have now jumped to 36. She says animals who've been adopted throughout the pandemic, for the most part, haven't been returned.
It's more of the financial hardship on people, people being ill, stuff like that we're getting a big influx of animals in.
People are out of work, unable to pay medical bills, pay food.
The Road Home Animal Project president Christine Shriver has also seen an upward trend in people relinquishing ownership.
We get surrender forms daily for animals. People want to give them up.
Shriver says in 2019, the Road Home Animal Project brought in 242 animals. In 2020, 350. And in the first 2 months of 2021, almost 100.
It's been an extremely tough year.
The nonprofit's treasurer, Dana Golat, says the organization can always use animal fosters, especially now.
We welcome anybody that is reputable that they are able to foster for us, because the more fosters that we do have for our organization, that just means more dogs we're able to help.
And if you're looking to help, staff at the Road Home Animal Project and here at the Belmont County Animal Shelter are always accepting donations. Reporting in Belmont County, I'm Kate Davison for News 9.
Still to come here on News 9 tonight, Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Shutt is in next with a complete look at your forecast. Don't go anywhere. Nailing down the cost of home improvement or construction in general isn't as straightforward as it used to be. Prices for materials are constantly changing, rising at rates not seen before. And it's not just lumber, it's basically everything. And that means your home improvement project is going to cost a whole lot more. More now in a News 9 special assignment.
It's been very difficult.
The price of construction is skyrocketing.
Drywall prices from last year to this year have doubled in price. Wood trusses, last year to this year, 70% increase. Dimensional lumber has increased by 300%. 2x4, 29 cents per lineal foot. It's over $1.10 now. Plywood doubled in price. In some places, it's tripled in price. Steel doubled in price.
Robert Gribben is the president of Graycon Construction, a company that typically works on larger projects, including several at local school districts like Edison and Steubenville. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I've never ever seen. I've been in this business for 50 years. Contractors, we're used to, when we'll get prices occasionally, every couple months. We'll make sure, when we're pricing a job, we'll make sure that we got the right price on the material. Now we have to do it every time we bid a job.
I think that it shocked pretty much everyone, and I think the COVID situation exacerbated some of this because there were, a lot of shutdowns, a lot of mills and plants were shut down that produce these products.
Mance Frankovich owns Weirton Lumber. Lumber has probably been the most talked about product that's been in high demand but low supply.
There's a lot of new construction going on, and some of that's driven by low interest rates, and some of it's driven by, there's a whole generation of people that are getting ready now to start building.
He and Gribben both blame COVID for multiple reasons: shutdowns, lack of returning workers due to higher unemployment benefits, and a shortage of something else.
We're over 1.1 million truck drivers short in this country. So how do we get anything to the consumers?
I don't see any relief in the near future, but we're hoping that at some point things start to back off just a little bit.
It's not just a higher cost in dollars and cents, but in time. For example, a steel bar joist used to take 6 to 10 weeks on order. Now,
I won't get them until April of 2022.
And for these companies, profits have not kept up with prices. So you said that you've seen your business actually increase profit-wise over the last year?
Our profits are up, but not to the extent that prices are up. The big money is being made by the producer.
So what can be done? The National Association of Home Builders is lobbying for the Commerce Department to take action, calling for the feds to address, quote, skyrocketing lumber prices and chronic shortages by seeking, quote, remedies that will increase production. Congressman Bill Johnson boils it down to supply and demand.
Unemployment expansion is paying them more to stay at home than in some cases that they can make on their jobs. And that's a sad thing. And that's creating a supply and demand. Many of these lumber companies, lumber is one of the commodities that you're talking about.
But until something changes,
I would be afraid to tell somebody, if you need something now, don't do it, because it could only get worse.
I also spoke with a contractor that does more small projects. He says if this keeps up, he'll go out of business. And we did reach out to the U.S. Department of Commerce, but have not heard back.